How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you.
All right. So share with me some of the things that you've learned, or one thing that you've learned, throughout this program, and what has it meant to you?
I think the most important thing that I recognized was the different types and where the salesmen were at different levels. The ones that were standoffish, that were just the helpers, and the ones that were actually getting engaged, and then the ones that were getting aggressive at going after more work and setting goals for themselves. Um, Obviously, you know your salespeople, and it was kind of interesting that I identified them immediately whenever I saw the profiling as who they were and what help I needed to give them. And the program helped those people achieve more sales because I was able to lift them out of those leashes that they had to get them to the next level and to make them feel comfortable with it, whatever I had to do without them knowing it. I mean, I never told them this is who you are. I just said, this is what we need to do. Because someone would just sit back and say, well, I don't want to call them today. I don't want to interrupt their day. You have to have an appointment. And they came up with all the excuses in the world of why they couldn't do their job. And so I would just grab them and say, we got to go do this today. Kind of just grab them and go and just not say, I never told them where I knew they were at, but as I grew them into who they became, it was really good for me to see that. That's what I enjoyed about what I learned from everything.
I love that. I love that. So can you think of? So I love that. So one of the things that you said, which is, I think, it's a fun metaphor. I remember when I was a kid, that my parents would when I first went skiing for the first time, I don't know, let's say 7 or 8 years old, and maybe you can relate to this experience where they bought me that ski suit that was about 5 sizes too big for me at the time, right? And so the first time I wore it, they had like all kinds of rubber bands and certain things around it to keep the snow out. And they spent $100 on a ski suit, but the idea behind it was they wanted me to grow into it. They wanted me to have it for 5 years, so I didn't have to buy a new ski suit every year. So to me, I think it's a neat metaphor of what you're saying is that's what you did. That you had some additional resources that you basically saw them being able to be capable of a bigger ski suit, and you held them accountable of, hey, you know what? I know right now you might not think you could fit into the ski suit, but I'm gonna hold your hand, and we're about to go skiing, and you're gonna grow into this thing. You're gonna grow into the ski suit. Is that right? So can you tell me, is there a moment that comes back? Because I love what you said, and now I want you to know that you've embodied this. This is inside of you now. These are now resources that you have, that you now can go unleash other people. Is there one specific example that comes to mind where we were working with a person who maybe had a reluctance, who said, you know what, I don't want to bother them, or I don't want to call on them, and you removed some sort of leash, some sort of story or self-image or reluctance or rule that was holding them back, and then it made a difference in them, and they noticed it made a difference?
One of the salesmen that I work with, he's really good at trusses, but not as good at lumber. And so I helped him sell an apartment job, and he just sold it. It's a $700,000 apartment in lumber that he was able to accomplish. And as I saw him just him just lift himself up to where his self confidence became higher, that he could do more. And I'm watching him progress now because he knows he can do it. It's when you have strengths in certain areas to sell different product lines, it's difficult for you because of you're not certain you can do it. And that's where he's gotten more certainty in selling lumber, that it's fine, he can do it. I
Love
think
that.
it might be because he knows I'm supporting him and I'm there to help guide him through the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where you have to give that certainty to your salespeople that they feel comfortable if they can step off the ledge and you're going to be there to pick them up or throw a rope to them to pull them back up.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Stephen. And everyone that, if you remember when we kicked off this program over a year ago, and it's something I mentioned in my Mindset of a Sales Warrior book, is that, the sales warrior game is they're fighting the war on all fronts. They're fighting the war from the customer and the prospect, from their friends, their family. They're fighting the war on all fronts. And so the one war we don't need they don't need to be a part of is that friendly fire, the being shot in the back from their boss or their company. And so what you've done for them, which is awesome, is, you know what, I'm going to be their support system. They can at least know that I'm not going to be, they're not going to have any friendly fire. They don't have, they know they can always be supported by me, so I can keep pushing them out in the battlefield to go handle those objections and call on more prospects and engage and overcome those fears and that adversity that they have. Is that correct? It's awesome. All right. Thank you, Stephen.